This is the top 10 arcade games. If you're just joining us, we're just starting it right now with our number 10s here. I'll go first, I guess.
Sure.
All right. So my top 10 here is going to start with a game called Title Fight. Whoops. Oh man. I was forward a couple pictures there. But anyways, Title Fight was cool. Not only did it visually look nice in terms of the gameplay and all that, the graphics, but you played it with like two joysticks that kind of looked like you were holding like boxing gloves or something. And that was kind of like the appeal that drew you in. And you could actually play two players, which was pretty dope. But it was an actual cool looking game, and I'll show some gameplay footage off here too.
It was essentially Punch Out, but you had
It was
or
kind of
Super
like Punch Out
Punch-Out-ish.
for sure. Sure, Super Punch Out. Let's say that. But it was more 3D because you could move everywhere in the ring. It moved like the background looked like it moved. You weren't just standing in one space and the dude was jumping off the ropes and all that. It looked like a legit boxing game. And I the gameplay was kind of weird because of you had two analog joysticks pretty much. That was how you controlled it. It was weird, but it was fun. And I remember it. This was my favorite game in the North Bay Mall. And if you're there, that is not there anymore. And the theater that was there is not there anymore either. So it's all gone. It's all gone. So there you go. That's my number 10, Title Fight. It was a Sega game. It's pretty cool.
My number 10 was Crazy Taxi. Didn't really play that many arcade games, to be honest. Like, I did play them at arcades, or play a lot of arcade games, but it was typically like really just my top 4 or 5 games. So filling out a full top 10 was just kind of weird because a lot of the games were meh, as far as I'm concerned, as actual arcade games, because I was much more so of spending my money on actual cartridges and shit like that. Anyways, Crazy Taxi was it's Crazy Taxi. It's doing weird, stupid shit and trying to get from point A to point B as fast as you can while trying to somehow stay on the fucking road.
Well, yeah. So that's the thing about this game is I played it on the Dreamcast, so that's kind of why it didn't make my top 10.
Well, I actually played this a fair bit in the arcade.
Oh, hey, I believe it.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely played this a lot on the Dreamcast.
I didn't have a Dreamcast, but well, my friend did, and we did play it, but we also played a bunch of other shit as well.
Yep, I like the Dreamcast a lot. It's like one of my favorite systems, mainly because I played a lot of games on it. Totally not illegally. Totally legally, man. I swear.
He's lying.
All right, so that's your number 10.
Yep.
My number 9 now is, another racing game or driving game. Let's say it's Outrun from Sega, and I actually played this stand-up version of it a lot. I did not play the sit-down version. It was just like in a corner store in like '92 or something. I was super young when I played. I could barely see above the steering wheel. I was a pretty short dude back when I played this, and the pedals were on the ground. You had a high speed and a low speed. You wanted to stick on the low speed to start off, but then you went to the high speed to get super fast. And Outrun, if you've ever heard of it, I don't have no footage of this game because it's.
If you haven't heard of Outrun, then I don't know.
There's a bazillion
then you're either
version.
too young to know what an arcade is, or
there's literally a bazillion versions of this game. Like, there's new ones. Yeah. The new ones look fucking amazing. The cabinets, they're cool. You should play the new Outruns if you have not seen them and you see them. Do it.
Yeah. I don't think there's actually a single proper arcade in Calgary.
Crazy.
Like, there's ones at movie theaters or whatever, but those are just horribly crap pieces of shit.
Well, it depends. If it's Cineplex usually has a few arcade games that are legitimately cool. Usually.
Like one the ones two. By me, not really, no.
Weird. Usually, I find that
they got like Deer Hunter, and like they do have a couple of arcade games, but
there's a bowling alley here that has a Sopranos pinball machine, and what was the arcade game that was fucking badass? They had another, I'd forget. They had two cool things there. They had like a machine where you played beer pong for tickets. Weird. It's weird. Anyways, yeah, that's my number 9. Outrun.
My number 9 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also known as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on this NES.
Yes.
I played it at Chuck E. Cheese way the fuck back whenever the fuck that would have been. That would have been like fucking 88 or 89. And then I saw it that it was on the SNES or on the NES, and I would not shut up. My parents just ended up giving in eventually on my birthday and getting me the fucking game because I would not shut the fuck up about it. And then holy shit, I played that game a lot. I played it a lot on the NES, but I do remember playing it in the arcade or at Chuck E. Cheese, which was one of the better arcades at the time.
I do remember playing a lot of this, but I don't know. I was fairly young. And I played a lot on the Nintendo, so yeah. I do love this game. It's just I didn't play it all that much in the arcade. But,
yeah, I played it a fair bit. Like at the ages, I guess I was about 6-ish. Would have been around the time, and then so at that point in time in '89 or so, Ninja Turtles was fucking everything. The
Turtles are still rad right now.
Yeah, I know.
Despite Michael Bay fucking them up, they're still pretty alright.
Yeah, because those movies aren't bad. They're not good either. They're kind of...
Well, the first movie's still weird because there's not that much of a storyline in it. It's just like, here's the turtles. They're the kids of this rat dude. And Splinter's this dude that we don't see that often. Oh my god, he's here. Done.
Well, it's all about their creation or whatever. So it's whatever.
But there's not that much story. It's
Japanese.
just weird.
No, of course not. It's a fucking Michael Bay movie.
I know, but it's fucking TMNT, man. God.
Well, even in the first actual live action thing, there wasn't much of a story.
What are you, dude?
There was the foot.
No, what are you talking about? They fuck up. Is it Donatello they fuck up in that one? Who did they fuck up?
It was Raphael.
They fuck up Raph. That movie is awesome. That movie is awesome.
But they fucked up. Raph took on Shredder by himself and got fucked up in the new one. Like what?
Yeah, Raph. Sure, he's a hothead. But the first movie was awesome. I don't know about you, but
no, I'm not saying it wasn't awesome, but there wasn't much story.
They developed the hate between Shredder and Splinter better, I feel, in that movie too. I don't know. I could just be biased.
In the first one?
Yes.
Like what? No.
Yes, because he was in the cage and he swipes his face. He's like, ah.
Oh yeah, that 13 millisecond image.
Yeah,
and then he
that's
comes
all
out
you
at the
needed.
end with some nunchucks and throws him off a building into a garbage.
That is all you needed. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Okay. It's all bad story. It's just fucking Mutant Ninja Turtles beating the fuck
It's more story than the fucking Michael Bay movie. That's all I can say about it.
Okay. So you're number 8.
Yeah. DJ Max Technica 3. It's
never heard of it.
It's a rhythm game from Korea.
That'd probably be why.
There you go. That's what it looks like. It's a touch screen based game that you can actually get on iPhones and iPads and Androids and all that. Android's 100% because this is from Korea, dude. So of course it's going to be on Android. It kind of plays like what can I describe it at? What's that DS game that Elite Beat Agents? That's exactly what it plays like. You have 2 bars on the screen that are swiping back and forth, and you got to push the buttons at the same time as it's crossing over. You got a few different buttons that do different things. And I really love how the music is actually connected to the buttons you're pressing. Because even if you go play easy and you play hard, you actually notice the difference between the music. It's actually kind of cool. So yeah, that's my number 8. The first time I heard this, that cabinet is goddamn impressive. Here, I'm just gonna go back to it. There's 2 screens. There's one for people to watch you play, and then there's another where you play on. And holy shit, those speakers are loud. That's a pretty cool cab. Anyways, there you go. That's my number 8. I felt like I was going to go too obvious if I picked DDR or something, but I fucking love DJ Max Technica. So There you go.
My number 8 is, I'm calling it Street Fighter just as the general blanket.
Well, it's Street Fighter 2.
Yes, sorry, Street Fighter 2. Just as a blanket for all the Street Fighter 2s, because I'm sure I played more than one of them. Like it was around for fucking a decade, probably in most arcades. So it was just which one I was directly playing. I don't particularly remember. I'm sure there was multiple.
Yeah, no. The thing about Street Fighter 2 is that there's a bazillion versions, and you can't really tell.
I'm pretty sure I played the first one, the original.
So the original has 8 characters.
And then I'm pretty sure Super was the other one that I played multiple times.
I want to say I played all of them. I always played them alone. I played them one time. I was like, oh, hey, that was cool.
I don't know. They all just kind of blend together. We're talking too long ago to actually know which.
Oh, yeah. The music's all the same. Most of the characters are the same until you get the Championship Edition. So, yeah.
But yeah, so Street Fighter 2 for quite obvious reasons. Like it is.
Yep. Hey, the music's amazing in that game. Some of the best Capcom shit ever. It's a good game. That's for
Blanca
sure.
for the win. Blanca for the fucking win.
Mm-hmm. One of the best track modes in a video game because it's a fighting game that just plays itself. And you're just like, oh, hey, cool. Blanca's doing his electric thing. Nice. Maybe I might play this. So my number 7 is Discs of Tron. So at first I was like, this game sucks. It totally sucks. But I put it on my list for 2 reasons. The game is actually way better than I remembered it. But the cabinet was fucking amazing. It was so dope. You stepped in it, and there's like black light and purple lights and blue lights all over the fucking thing. It's fucking amazing. And the game had like a standard default like looking 80s screen. It looked like an 80s game. Like I'll show it in a second. But like you could see a background behind it. You know, like there's like a I don't know how the screen worked. I guess there was like a reflection in the mirror. And there's like a double mirror, and you could like see a background of like Tron World behind it. Had an interesting look that you can't really replicate in an emulator. But man, yeah, no. And then they had some that they cut off the back part, so it's only the front part. And it's still still badass. It's still an awesome cabinet. Here, I'll play the gameplay for a second, so just so you can get the gist. So. Oh, and I didn't show the controls. I'll show what the controls actually looked like. So you controlled the aiming with a disc, and then you would control your character with a joystick. And then there was a button on the joystick where you would throw your discs. And then, yeah, it was cool. You would just jump. He would jump manually. Or, sorry, he would jump automatically. So there was no jumping button. He would just go across the 3 pads automatically. Here, I'll show what the controls actually looked like. There you go. There's a purple light behind there. It was badass. That's a joystick. The little puck is the way you control your aiming, and yeah, it was fucking awesome. This game was awesome. I liked it a lot. So there you go. That's my number 7.
My number 7 is pretty much the same as my number 9, but updated. I played a shit ton more of this in the actual arcade, so that would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4. Turtles in Time, again at Chuck E. Cheese.
I've only been there one time, and I was pretty old. Well, yeah, older.
But this is again like we're talking probably like 92 or something like that. So this is when like arcades were big. So Chuck E. Cheese had, I guess, a lot of younger kid games plus the ticket games and all that shit. So they had some of the better arcades in our area anyways. Yeah, I remember actually just going to Chuck E. Cheese to play this game. My toes. Because it was close enough to our house that I could actually get there being 8 or 9 years old during the summer with my brother.
And video games probably didn't cost $1 bazillion yet, so.
Yeah. Yeah, like just a shit ton of fun. This is probably the first arcade game I actually personally went there by myself or whatever without my parents and went to play.
Sweet. Yeah, I like that game. I just beat 'em ups nowadays. Talking about beat 'em ups. Hey, that's my number 6. I have a beat 'em up. I have one. It's called X-Men. And the reason I picked X-Men is because there was a 6-player cabinet that was fucking badass. It was such a badass cabinet. There was two 4x3 screens in there, so it was a
Yeah.
super wide screen, and you would actually pick your character by which joystick you would play.
Yeah, I
At,
remember
so.
that. Everyone tried to get the fucking Wolverine, those bastards.
I don't care about Wolverine. He didn't even have the best super moves, and but the super moves used your health, so they were worthless anyways.
Yeah.
But I think the best super move was actually Storm, because I think she took down the whole fucking screen almost, or people around her. Because what's his name? Cyclops is just the beam in front of him. It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
And then Wolverine wasn't that great either. Wolverine's cool. In this game, he's not the.
I
most
remember
useful.
Julie being fucking horrible.
Julie is Dazzler. Is that what?
Bedazzler, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, I can't.
Whatever.
Yeah, I
whatever
can't
her
remember
name
if
is.
it was because they are two different characters.
She is cool in this game. I do like her in this game. But yeah, whatever. She's whatever. But man, this game and the cabinet was huge.
Yes.
It was so huge in person. It was amazing. I played this in the Ottawa Midway, and it's actually still there. The Midway is actually still there. I have no idea what arcade machines that you have, if they still do. But it's cool. You can go karting there and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff to do there. But anyways, that's it. That's my number 6, X-Men.
My number 6, you mentioned it in your honorable mentions, was Super Off-Road.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I love this fucking game. It was at West Mall Arena, and I played the living shit out of it. It was one of the games that, like, if you win, you keep playing or whatever. So,
yeah, yes.
like
Like
I just
all
went.
good
I
games.
was probably 10 years old, and I just kept fucking playing. Like I won every fucking match. Like I could play that game for probably like 45 minutes to an hour straight, just without having to actually fucking put in any more money in.
Yeah, you could get good at this game, whipping the fucking steering wheel around corners and shit. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, timing and I just got so good at it that I could just fucking play that fucking game and just wreck people.
Do I have a video for this? I don't think I do. No, I do not.
Yeah. And the point, it was the 3-player control thing, and then they had the 1 computer player.
Mm-hmm. No, it was awesome.
It was
I love playing this with my dad and my uncle. I remember doing that, and there's an arcade in Ottawa that still has it right now, which you can go check out. It's called House of Targ, if you're ever in Ottawa. All right. My number 5 is a WWF WrestleFest. This game was awesome. I loved it. I played it a really long time ago in Ottawa, actually, and I the thing about playing this game is I have no idea where that arcade was when I did play it. It was like 96 or something, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. And it was just a wrestling game where you had 2 modes, I believe, a tag team tournament mode, and then you also had a Royal Rumble mode, which the Royal Rumble mode, to be honest, was the less in-depth mode of the two. The tag team mode tournament, you actually progressed through matches and it got harder and shit. The Royal Rumble kind of got harder because you had a limited health bar and you could recharge it by putting more quarters in it. But it was just, in terms of, I think this was the first Royal Rumble match mode in a game. And it was badass. It was badass. But man, these sprites were so big. They looked so good. They looked exactly like who they were supposed to. You know exactly who all these 4 dudes are if you watched wrestling back in the day. It's Demolition and Axe and Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake. I don't need. There's no name tags anywhere. I just know that they look all the sprites in this game look good. And yeah, it was a hell of a game. That's all I can say about it. It was fun. They inspired a lot of games nowadays too. Like if you play an old school wrestling game, odds are it kind of plays like this game. Odds are. All right, there you go. That's my number 5.
My number 5 was your number 6. So
Yes.
X-Men.
Yes.
That again was at actually West Mall Arena. And then there was also one at the Aaron Town Center, one for a while. So I actually played it at 2 different places. One by myself, which kind of was fun to the point that actually sometimes I was there and I just have the arcade to myself, or the whole thing to myself.
Well, the thing about the two screens put together is it looked amazing, and the explosions in this game looked fucking rad because it took up like the whole fucking screen. It's fucking dope. This game, I do love it a lot. We also have a video of us playing it on the website. It's cool. It's like the screen is wider than 16:9. It's fucking awesome. I love this game.
Yeah. I'm going to have to pause for like 10 minutes.
Sure. Sure. I suppose I can do my top 4, and then you can come back.
If that's what you want. I don't know.
I guess so. I guess I'm just going to do that.
Okay.
All right, cool.
I'm going to pause or mute my shit.
Yeah, sure. I can do it at my end.
Oh, okay.
All right. Just
have fun with that.
Yep. All right, so my number 4 is a game called Magician Lord. A little game called Magician Lord. And the cabinets for this game were weird because they weren't exactly like cabinets, because they were Neo Geo, like the multicade things that they had where you could put like a bunch of games in it. I think my local arcade that I played it at, well, it wasn't even an arcade, sorry. This was a corner store that was not far from my school when I was in elementary. So I played this a really, really long time ago, and I could play this pretty much any time I wanted after school. It was quarters only, and I got so good at the game that I could pretty much play it for hours. So I got there at school after school at like 4-ish, maybe like 3:50, and then I would just play this forever. And I noticed that my mic was hot. I got to fix that. My soundboard, I don't know what happened. My settings are all different, but there we go. I fixed it. Anyways, so Magician Lord, here I'll play some gameplay because the arcade cabinet's not all that exciting to look at. But the cabinet was cool because it had multiple games. And to be honest, the games that were on the Magician Lord cabinet that I had in my hometown, I don't even freaking remember what the hell games were on the side. I remember there was a 2D side-scrolling game, shoot 'em up, that was not Metal Slug, because if it was Metal Slug I would have remembered. I don't remember what it was. It's a pretty cool game, but Magician Lord were just fucking badass. Where this magician shooting pretty much reuse Hadoukens, I guess is how I would describe it, and then you would find chests that would pretty much transform you into a bunch of different beasts. You would transform into this dragon initially, and then I forget what the other beasts were, but there was a lot of power-ups that would make your fire breathing or your Hadoukens way more powerful. This game was just fucking amazing, and sure, it might have seemed like a quarter eater when you first started playing, because it was a little bit hard at first when you did start playing, but once you got in the groove, it was a pretty standard side-scrolling thing. You just need to get used to the enemies and be like, okay, I gotta stand here, I gotta do this, he's gonna die, and then I'll be fine. So yeah, this game was so rad. He jumped over that thing right there. I think it's because you transform into something else that's less cool than the dragon. Dragon is very useful, especially when you get those power-ups right where he got it right there. His fire right now is just out of this world crazy, and it's just POW 2. Imagine when he gets to POW 3, that fire breathing is just going to go out of control. So yeah, that's my number 4. It was a badass game here. I couldn't even go a little bit further into the gameplay here because this is the first level. Here, let's go further in and see. There you go. You're a ninja at one point. Well, that's the other thing. No, this is Shinobi. This is straight up your Shinobi, which is just straight up insane. I love this game. It was amazing. I guess you're not Shinobi because Shinobi is it SNK? Holy shit. I think this is Shinobi though. I'm pretty sure it was. All right, my number 3 is a little game called Galaga. You might have heard of it. It's pretty old. I don't have any footage of it because if you've never seen Galaga, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your life. I suppose you're not playing old school video games. But Galaga was fucking amazing. I love that game. I mainly played it on... so I have a few stories. This might be one of the earliest games I remember playing it in my whole life. This and Pac-Man in terms of arcade games. I'll even go back here. Pac-Man and Galaga. I remember going on snowmobile trips as a kid to this bar/restaurant/pool hall, and they had a Galaga and Pac-Man machine, and these were the exact two machines they had. The Galaga was on the Fritz most of the time, so I only got to play it a few times. I played way more Pac-Man at that place, but Galaga was a rad game. The way you can combine your ships and all that, but it's one of the first cocktail machines that I gotta say it is probably the first. Pangu or Pango might have actually been the first cocktail machine I played. No, I'm not actually sure. But for sure, Galaga. If I ever do get a cocktail machine, they make this Galaga slash Miss Pac-Man machine that I'm showing right now. I just wanted to show the controls in a cabinet. I love cocktail machines. They make them where you could get like a 30 machines and whatnot. I don't really like those. I want a CRT screen in those bitches. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, and hey, I should mention, if you ever want to call in about how terrible our top 10s have been, you can totally do it at any time. My number 2 is a game called Baby Pac-Man. And Baby Pac-Man was a pretty sweet game. And here's why. Because it kind of played similarly to... I guess it played similarly to Miss Pac-Man because the levels changed. But I guess it was a little bit slower, more like regular Pac-Man was, if I had to describe it. But the reason why this game was so badass is because it was a pinball machine in an arcade cabinet. It was rad how it worked. So you would play Pac-Man on the top screen, as you see right there, and then you have the bottom controller right there, the joystick that would just play Pac-Man, and then you have actually 4 buttons to play the pinball with. Just in case those side buttons are blocked off by other arcade machines, you also can push the top buttons to play the pinball with. That's what the top screen looks like. Just a regular Pac-Man looking game. I would even call it a demotion from what Miss Pac-Man and all that looked like. Kind of looks more like a Nintendo game, to be honest. But when you went to the bottom, what do you call that? The warp tunnels, I guess. The bottom warp tunnels, let's call them that. It warps you down to the bottom where you get to play some freaking pinball. It's not a super amazing pinball. It's not a full-length table. It's pretty short. Because it is still an arcade cabinet after all. But fucking A, I only played this one time, I think, in Warren, Ontario. And it was fucking dope. I only played, like I said, I only played it once in a dingy bar that was super popular when I used to go to it when I was a kid. But by the time I noticed that this machine, they acquired it, it was near the end of that restaurant's / bar's run. So I really wish I could have went back and been like, I'll give you $600 for this. And he might have said, yeah, sure, why not just take it away? I don't need it anymore. And that would have been badass if he would have. So that's my number 2. I fucking love Baby Pac-Man. In case you can't tell, yeah, it's one of my favorite games of all time, that's for sure. And it's my second favorite arcade game of all time. My first love in arcade games, though, is a little game called Asteroids. And here's the reason why I love this game so much is because it's clear why I love it. That vector monitor and how this game looked. It looked like a fucking HD game does now. But yeah, it's still just black and white, and it's still just text and a little spaceship and asteroids that you're blowing apart. But just the way that the screens looked on these machines and the way that you controlled it, you didn't have a D-pad, you didn't have a joystick. You had 2 buttons to rotate left and right, and then you had 2 buttons to thrust and fire, and then you had one that you pushed with your thumb. It was in the middle, a little bit slightly lower. That was called hyperspace. That would just teleport you to a space on the map. That button sucked. That button was only used for how can I say this? Like a last resort where you were like, oh, well, yeah, that's the only time I'm going to use that because if I'm going to die. I'm going to get destroyed right now. So, yeah, man, that game was just fucking amazing on its own. I played a lot of Asteroids on the PC. And what else did I play Asteroids on? But I did play it on the PC a lot. There's a lot of weird knockoff Asteroid games out there. But this is my favorite Asteroid cabinet, though, of all time. It's a sit-down cabinet. It's interesting because it's a cocktail, like I showed you earlier with Miss Pac-Man or Galaga or a bunch of other ones. But the buttons are like on the sides of it, so you only have like that little tiny screen in the middle that shifts back and forth. And It is another vector monitor. It's amazing, like the how brighter your bullets are than everything else. It's just it catches your eye, and the way that the text looks, it looks so HD for the time. And this is an old game. There's another one. The sequel was called Asteroid Deluxe, which is pretty much the same game, but they made the UFOs way harder, and I think they made like even the way the asteroids break apart a little bit harder. I feel like maybe when they get to the smaller bits, they go maybe even a little bit faster, and I don't want to say they heat seek you because they probably don't, but they don't need that in that game, to be honest. But yeah, Asteroids, man, if you've never played that at an arcade and you've never seen a vector monitor in person, I would just say try to find any game that has a vector monitor on it. Star Wars is one that just is fucking insane, and that one is colored. It's a colored vector monitor. I don't know how they make that work, but you're going in the trench of the Death Star with your X-Wing, and you're going to go blow it up, and that game's amazing. So yeah, there you go. That's my top 10. My number 1 is Asteroids, Steiner.
Okay.
That's my number 1.
Okay. There we go.
So now we're going to go to your number 4.
My number 4 is a little game called Raiden. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It is a top-down shooter. That's, I guess the main reason is just because with my friend we played a shit ton of this. It has power-ups. It does this. It does that. It was randomly generated, so it wasn't just the same thing over and over again. So it could kick your ass quite easily if you weren't paying attention. I don't know. The three of us just played a whole shit ton of it during high school.
It looks awesome. I've never heard of it, but it looks awesome. This is by Saibu. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't. It was an arcade cabinet in the arcade at Aaronville Sound Center, so it just played a shit ton of it. Another game in that arcade that I played a whole motherfucking shit ton of was Time Crisis 2.
I was thinking about putting shooting games on my list, but I was just like, which one's truly amazing?
Yeah, well, I kind of went more so of
the ones you like the most.
Played.
Yeah.
Well, how much I played, which would then kind of indicate of which ones I like the most.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Aaron Mills Sound Center, the original arcade had this like the little glass section that they had this game up on top so that people could be behind the glass watching you. So at points in time, my friend and I probably had about 40 people watching us. Because we ended up.
They're near the end of the game. They're gonna
pretty much, yeah. So I think
sure.
Once we managed to beat the game on $2, so $1 each.
They're gonna get to the error screen. Their score is too high. It's too high.
But yeah, so it just was to the point of that we got good at it, or we learned the fucking pattern of however it worked or whatever, and then it's the point that then people could watch you and do whatever, and so you got the showboat aspect of it on top of that. It was just cool, I guess, because the way they had it set up more so than anything. I don't know. Don't really know what else to say. So my number 2, holy fuck this. So I've talked about this game several times on the show, but because of the way Capcom does their naming shit, I had no fucking clue which one it actually was. So I ended up looking for, 45 minutes to try to figure out which one I was actually talking about. Apparently, the game I played is Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter was the game I played a shit ton of.
This is the first crossover game? Oh, no, because they had X-Men before.
Yeah. Yes. Like, holy fuck. It just, I played multiples of them, is where I really get confused about them. I played X-Men versus Street Fighter. And then I also played Marvel versus Capcom, but this is Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. So it just was whatever. But
Which is like the predecessor to just like Marvel versus Capcom, kind of.
I believe so. Yeah. But yeah, I ended up played a shit ton of this. I got quite good at it. There was probably one or two people in the arcade that I went to that were better than me or as good as me type thing. So whenever it was fun to play those people, because like my immediate group of friends sucked at fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
So it just wasn't the same. Like, so I ended up having to like do that whole like put your quarter down thing and fucking stand in line and whatever. It was fun within a certain respect, but it was it all depended on if there was someone there that could actually play, which is always what it is with a fighting game. It's just
Yeah, that's the thing that sucks about fighting games back in the day. Now you go online and can just do it.
Yeah. Now my top game, I guess, is I picked it mainly because of I was fucking good. It was the game that I could like I was somewhere around like 18 wins in a row off beat. Like, so people would put down their quarters and step in beside me, and I'm pretty sure I ended up most days I had to go back to school before I actually died. Because I would come out at lunch or whatever, so I would play for 45 minutes to an hour.
I've done that with video games. It's just like shit. I gotta go.
Yeah. So Power Stone, the first Power Stone, and I got fucking good with like nearly every fucking character. Like I could sit down with any character and just beat the computer with no problem. But then there was like Jack, I guess, was my main. And then the samurai dude was probably my secondary. And there were like people that knew who I was to the point of like, no, dude, you can't pick Jack. Fuck this. So I ended up having to get better at other players because people would refuse to play me if I picked Jack.
I don't know any of the characters' names.
Yeah.
Oh, Gunrock. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Gunrock. Yeah. Yeah, Falcon, and yeah, it just like I got fucking good at this game, and it was fun. So they had it at Silver City or Palladium or whatever the fuck they ended up calling it after.
Same thing.
Yeah. I played in a tournament there, got in second place, but that was out of a group of 100 people that actually went there for the fucking tournament. So, and I'm pretty sure that was like a good chunk of the GTA. So I was one of the, at this particular game, I was one of the best people in the GTA at. But yeah, it was fun. I was just good at it, and I could just wreck people.
Showing off, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, there was, and again, like there was a girl that was in the fighting scene, I guess. And like, I guess it would have been Marvel Superheroes versus X or Street Fighter or whatever the fuck that we played a fair bit, and she typically would beat me just barely. Like she would have like it was like hits, like one or two hits of just like a fucking normal hit would have ended the game either way. I guess we also played a fair bit of Soul Cowl, and it is just like, so she was really good at multiple fighting games, but whenever we played Power Stone, it was just horribly stupid on how badly I would kick the crap out of her. At some points in time, I almost felt bad, but then I remembered that she kicked the shit out of me in Soul Cal, so I stopped caring. But again, like, I've seen her in shit. I think it was not Evo, but the other one.
I don't know. Capcom
what's the one
Cup.
in Phoenix?
Was Devastation. But that
Devastation.
Was a long time
I've seen
ago.
her in Devastation.
Cool.
But I don't think she was playing. I think she was like a coach of a team or something like that.
Whoops. Wrong
but
thing.
Yeah, so Power Stone was my number one because I was fucking good at it.
Mm-hmm.